Call it at 3 o'clock, 3:30, sorry. Roll
Chair,
call. Okay.
Chair Schallenberger,
Here.
Vice Chair Handberg,
Here,
Member Beard, present via Zoom, Member Brents, Member Grenier, absent, Member Jensen,
No, I'm here.
Member Martino.
Here.
Grenier just logged in.
oh, good. Full, all right, should we do the pledge of allegiance?
Sure.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Consent items, consent to be approved. We don't have any items to consent, do we?
The order of agenda is presented and the minutes.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Anybody have any adjustments to the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting on May 26th and June the 2nd?
I make a motion to approve those minutes. I'll second.
You want a roll call or just call? All in favor? Aye.
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 Approve. Public communication, anybody out there in the public, I can't see exactly, would like to speak on anything that's not on the agenda today? I'll go with that's a no. Discussion, receive presentation from the Abbey Agency and city's new marketing management consultant and provide with general policy direction. Go.
Wonderful. All right, I'll run up here. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you?
Good, good.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome.
you so much. Let me share my screen. Oh, jeez. Can everyone? Oh, sorry. Just a bit. Of course. That way you're more on screen. There, perfect. All right. Well, we are so excited to be here. Yes?
Won't you introduce
Chairman? Yes, I'll introduce.
Those two that weren't here when you came.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely. My name is Connie Anderson, and I'm joined by Chani Knight behind us. And then also on the phone, I don't think you can see him right now, is our creative director, Tyson K. Wall.
Great.
I'm going to go through your whole supporting team. I just have to say our team is so ecstatic to be here. We have kicked off, I would say, very strong. We wanted to get started. We know how important tourism is to the city of Solvang. And so you'll see as we go through here, our team has already spent a few days here in the pitch process leading up to this to get to know a little bit more about Solvang, talk to some of the local business owners to learn more. I went out and have made a couple of reels already for Instagram, so we've already gone out and scheduled those to get those up there. So we're excited to learn more, and I really want this to be a participatory conversation. So as we go through this, we're going to introduce our team. We're going to introduce our 90-day action plan and what we want to prioritize in those first 90 days, but we want to hear direction from you as well. We're open to any feedback about what we might want to change, what we might want to add to those first 90 days. I'm going to go through your team a little bit. Our agency is actually closed this week for summer recharge week. We closed this week and then the week between Christmas and New Year's, but we knew how important it was to be here and get to know you, so we wanted to come and share. But the team is much greater than you see on the phone here and in person today. So you're led by myself, our Chief Strategy Officer, and then your day-to-day account contacts will be Warren Fan. He's a Client Strategy Director, very well versed in tourism. He runs most of our other destination marketing accounts, some of our luxury hotel properties as well. He's supported by Emily Roboto, who's our junior brand manager. And then here's mostly our digital team experts, and a lot of these individuals you met back in June when we were able to talk to you and introduce ourselves. So this is your team. We have a digital strategist who has developed over 50 websites in the past couple of years. Our digital content manager, Angela, she actually teaches branding and marketing at a university as well on the side. And then we have Julian and Henry, part of our paid media team, who will be running all of your ads. And then here's our team of social media, really our brand experts. We have Tyson, who's on the phone. He's our creative director. We have Allie Williams, our senior PR manager, who will be supporting the PR efforts. And then our supporting social media team, Nathaniel and Cassandra. As I mentioned, we're very excited. We can't wait to be here. That's me at the Elverhoy Museum last time I was here. It was very windy. I was trying to take lots of video out front, so we'll have to go back and do some videos on a little bit less of a windy day. But lots of pictures we've already taken, done some interviews learning about how Danishes are made, what makes them unique. So as I mentioned, our 90-day plan, we consider our first phase, our first 30 days, onboarding, so that's the month of July. What onboarding looks like to us is getting to know you, getting to know what your priorities are. We do what we call an audit, which is where we dive into all of your current communication channels, your website, your social media channels, and we try to understand who's coming to those. How long are they on the website? Do they look different than our competitors or our partners in the Valley, or do they look the same? So we try to get a better understanding of who our target audience is and then how we may want to change who's already coming to those and kind of gathering that information. We've done some of that already. If you remember in the proposal, we were able to glean some insights, but now that we actually have access to those channels, we'll be able to glean a lot more insights about your target audience. So after a part of the onboarding phase I'll get more into in depth as well is doing some primary research. So doing a survey to you as committee members, doing perhaps a survey to the community, or doing in-person focus groups where we're able to talk about what has worked, what hasn't worked, what you'd like to see, some of your vision and mission for the future. And then our second phase, which is the month of August, is strategy and building. We take all that research, both primary and secondary, and we develop it into a marketing plan and strategy where we say, where are we right now? Where do we need to go? What are our steps to get us there? And then finally, our initial launch, we are targeting mid-September for a full campaign launch. It's really important to note, as I mentioned earlier, we've already started posting on social media, so we aren't waiting until September to start communications and outreach. We want to start now. We want to learn from what we're doing, learn from what's already been done, and evolve that over time, and then really be ready for a fully integrated campaign launch in September. We'll talk through this again at the end, but we know you've created 7 videos already that are kind of a how-to Solvang and how to experience Danish culture, which are really fun, and we know those haven't been shared. So we've come up with some creative ideas we'll talk through today about how can we share those more and not waste the effort that's already gone into those videos. So phase 1, our onboarding phase. I talked about this just now, but our integrated account team process, we will complete our onboarding. We'll gain access to all of your marketing channels. There's a few that we're still working on gaining access to, but hopefully very shortly we'll have access to all of those. We will complete a survey with your team, and then I do want to hear feedback, when we get to the end, about your thoughts on how we want to engage the community, knowing how important tourism is. Do we want to do a community-wide survey? Do we want to do more of an open house and focus group to engage the community in marketing efforts? And then, as you mentioned, we've already begun social media posting. And then we will complete taking over the website by the end of this month. There's a few technical things that we want to give ourselves some time to take over, complete the auditing, and then dive into updating that. As I mentioned, our in-depth research will include auditing all of our owned channels, a survey of you, group interviews, and then also reviewing regional and tourism research at a national level. We've already reviewed the marketing plans for our partners, Santa Barbara County, Visit Santa Ynez, and developed some target audiences based upon those to be complementary. And we'll talk through that. I'll get your feedback on that. But we'll continue to look for other resources around research that may exist that's not public yet. Phase 2, August 1st through 31st, is we know you have another Tourism Advisory Committee meeting, so we plan to be here for that as well, and ideally plan more of an immersion with a greater team, do a content gathering trip. We have a photographer and videographer on staff, so bring him here. While I think my photos are great, I think he can do a much better job than I can. So bring him here. That's the time when we can do that open house, or we can do focus groups, whatever it is, at that beginning of August timeframe, and then transition into the marketing plan. In that second phase of August 1st through 31st, in addition to the marketing plan, what you can expect is our paid media plan. So our paid media plan says, what are the assets we have? Who do we want to reach, and what channels do we reach them on? So we suggest what budget associated with those items, where we want to place them, how we want to pace them, so what time frame that we want to pace them at. And then we also know that planning for Yule Fest and our marketing support during this time frame, that August time frame, will be really important. For our creative team, we'll talk about some creative ideas today, but we plan in August to do what we would call round 2 of our creative. How do we take those videos? How do we get your feedback today, and then develop it into a fully integrated campaign? So you'll see that from us in August. And then we plan on phase 1 of website improvements in August as well. And to us, that I was doing a lot of research and review of the website. There's just some old dates and old content and broken links, and a website, if you don't look at it for too long, it gets out of date quickly. And so we want to make sure, let's get it up to date and see how it functions, and then let's see what improvements, expansions, new design that we need in the future. But let's make sure that website, it's really your digital visitor guide, right? It should be something that somebody who's in town can go to and find how to find all the windmills, how to look up some history of the city. And then it should also be a tool for somebody who's planning a trip to be able to find out, how long can I stay here for? How can I make this a multi-day trip? What's great about coming midweek? We really want to target some of those supporting tourism activities through the website. So we'll begin phase 1 of that in August. And then also we'll begin our PR outreach in August. So what that looks like is pitching our key publications on long lead, which is fall, winter travel, and then short lead. So that's, looking at all of the editorial calendars for Sunset, Afar Magazine, all those big names we know, and getting Yule Fest and other activities on the event calendars for those. And it's also looking at maybe some of the more lifestyle neighborhood magazines in the Bay Area, Los Angeles, elsewhere, and pitching them on why you might want to come do a Christmas vacation or a New Year's vacation, some of those things that people might not thought of that they could come to Solvang for. Through that phase 2, we will finalize our strategic marketing plan. We'll go through, I think, and I hope, a few iterations of this. I find the best marketing plans are not one we just write and hand over, but one that we're able to talk about and get input on. We're able to maybe source some opinions from others in the community about what they think are important pillars of the destination, what important KPIs should be, and then as a community we can develop a way to track against those KPIs. And then that really becomes our guiding light, so to speak, of what are we doing, when are we doing it, who are we talking to, and how are we talking to them. It's something that we review at a minimum of a quarterly basis. It takes time for things to work, so we don't throw it out the window and start over new at a quarterly basis, but we say, hey, what are we seeing? What's changed in the community? Is this still right? Are we on the right path? What tweaks do we want to make? I also mentioned that in phase 2, we'll be doing our paid media plan, and very similar to our marketing plan, our team doesn't just let our paid media plan run. It's important that that paid media is reviewed on a very regular basis. It's optimized. We aren't just wasting any money. We know budget is incredibly important, and every dollar that we spend is very important, and we want to make sure that it's targeted to getting the right results. Okay, any questions? I've talked a lot on phase 1 or 2 before we go into phase 3 items. This is really that research onboarding. Yes, Mr. Hanberg.
You said you didn't have Macs.
Okay.
You didn't have connections to all the web and anything in particular?
We actually don't have connection to Facebook yet. We only have Instagram and Twitter. So I think there's,
Just those two?
we have just Instagram and Twitter right now. Hopefully we'll get Facebook shortly. There was a Facebook, and how they've done a lot of things have changed who has access to what. So we're hoping to get on it, and I know Zenny has been working on it a lot. And then the website, we have the back end access, which means I can see all the analytics. I could go change something on the back end right now, which I haven't done yet. The hosting, which is where in the server, which is where the website is stored, we don't have access to that yet. But that's not a very large deal. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Jensen?
Yes, Kim Jensen, and auditing. What do we have to audit? What's part of your audit?
Yeah, absolutely. What we'll look at is for your website, I think is the best. We gain a lot of insights from your website. So we can look at a whole map of the U.S. and the world, and we can see how many people from different destinations are coming to your website. So we can say, for ease of numbers, there's 10,000 people who came to your website in the month, all of last year, all of last fiscal year. And 20% of those were from Southern California, the LA area. 10% were from the Bay Area, and maybe surprisingly 20% were from Texas or somewhere, right? So we can try to identify, we know where a lot of our key markets are, but where are niche markets that maybe we haven't talked to yet or that could be a good market. So we'll look at geography, we'll look at age, we'll look at trends. Has the people visiting our website gone up, gone down in age, stayed the same? We can look at how long they're on the website and how many pages they go to and what are the most popular pages. So we can see, everyone's really interested in the history page, the events page, and then we can see maybe they never go to the hotel page. Well, that would be a problem. So we would say, okay, in website improvement, how can we increase click-through to the hotel page to get people to learn about the accommodations? And then on social media, we do that same thing. We see where they're coming from, what age they are. We see what content they interact with most. Do they like content that has pictures of dogs in it? Most content with dogs does very well on social media, just as a general rule. But do they like content that's videos, long form, short form, things like that? So we just gain insights that show us, okay, what content do we need to continue engaging our audience?
And then finally, one more thing.
Absolutely.
Talking to our team. Who are you going to talk to? What team are you talking about?
I'm in this committee specifically, but then I would love to hear feedback of who else you think, in addition to this committee, might be good individuals to talk to. Obviously, you have a vested interest in tourism and all work in the industry, so know a lot. But if there's other individuals who you think, we like diverse input, right? So we like people who are very much about bringing tourism to the community, but we've also found times when it's really important to listen to people who perhaps aren't as strong advocates of tourism in the community, because we may be able to engage them and understand, well, what are some of those concerns they have? How can we address them and create support for tourism across the whole community? So I would say, as we're going through this, maybe just jot down some names of people who are, you think, in addition to this committee, might be good individuals to talk to. Yeah, of course. Any other questions right now? Okay. All right, so phase 3 is our initial launch. We have approximated, so to speak, the date of September 19th. We believe that it's important. There are some things, search engine marketing, which is one, evergreen tactic, so to speak. What that means is we want to understand what people are searching for. That's what we'll find out in our auditing phase too. We can see how many people come to our website through certain searches. Of course, many people search, how to visit Solvang, but there might be people who search dog-friendly travel locations in California, and that might be a high amount of people coming to our website. So search engine marketing is where we buy that keyword, dog-friendly places in California, and so we show up first or second in Google. So those are things we can kick off in phase 2, but a full proactive integrated marketing campaign, we're looking at that September date. One, we know that there has not been a lot of marketing efforts, so it's important to get going quickly, but we also felt that that was a good timeline when people are planning out their vacation for fall, winter, early spring. They have about a 45 to 60 day booking window typically. So if we start talking to them in September, they go from the, maybe I should do a vacation. They're kind of dreaming to a vacation. Then they're like, ooh, I want to go on a vacation. And then maybe they see our ad again in October and they're like, okay, I'm ready to go. New Year's Eve, January, it's it, right? So then they book that 60 days out. So that's why we're looking at that September date. Again, I'm very much open to feedback and your thoughts on that as well. We've also found, speaking of engaging the community and who to talk to, we found success in kind of doing launch parties, for lack of a better word, but a time to bring the community together. Maybe we can hand out some swag with the new logo on it, show them some of the videos that they maybe haven't seen, and increase their excitement about the campaign. That's a time where we can turn a lot of the business owners here into advocates. We can arm them with some talking points about what we want Solvang to be known for. And I know every business owner I've met so far has done a great job at selling the destination and talking about how wonderful it is. But if there are times in the auditing process where we find, we want to tweak a perception that perhaps the tourists have, we can give talking points in that launch party, so to speak, to help educate those business owners on what we might be trying to say that's new or unique or different that our marketing campaigns haven't been said before. So we're looking, like I said, that full integrated campaign launch. So what that means is that we'll probably have a landing page on the website that will have the videos. It'll have direct links to booking activities, booking hotels. We will have it on social media. The banners or headers of our social media pages will all look the same. We'll have a press release go out that talks about it, and then our paid ads will launch at that time. We also would like to plan a FAM, a press trip, in that fall time frame to get some media here who maybe haven't been here before and align with our target audiences and may speak to new target audiences. We want to get them here so they can experience the destination. And then I wanted to show you what it looks like once that launches. We launch our interactive reporting dashboard. This is just a sample, but what this shows you is at any given time, this updates every day. It will show you how many impressions we've gotten over the past month. It'll show you how many clicks the campaign has had. It'll show you the click-through rate, which is, okay, 100 people saw it and 10 people clicked, it's a 10% click-through rate. It'll show you conversions, so that's something in our marketing plan we'll discuss is what is a conversion? Does that mean it's somebody coming to our Solvang USA website and then clicking out to a hotel website? Is it booking something through the site? Different things like that. It'll show you how we're pacing on our spend. It will show you day by day how it's changing and fluctuating. And this is really interesting for us because we can tie these back to, oh, wow, there was a big jump on this day. What happened? Maybe a story came out in the Los Angeles Times on that day, and we can see, oh, a lot of people from that story clicked through, which increased website traffic. We can look and see, oh, social media caused a big click through to the website that day. Something about that content was really interesting. And then this shows how people access the channel, what days. It'll show what device are people clicking through on their desktop, their iPhone. All of this is insights that we pull from to optimize the campaign, and then a way for you as the committee to look at how it's doing. And then every month when we get together through these meetings, we talk about here's what we saw, here's what we've changed and improved for the next month. And then the next month we say, here's what we changed and improved, here's what worked, here's what didn't, and here's how we're optimizing again. But this is a real-time update for you to go look at this as well. Okay, and then phase 3 kicks off our ongoing partnership. So what this looks like is, as I just mentioned, our monthly live dashboards, so you can look at the monthly analytics. We do what we call quarterly business reviews. That's where I mentioned we pull up the marketing plan. We look at what's working, what's not working, how do we optimize it, what in the industry has changed as we've seen over the past couple years with lockdowns and all the rules. It's been a lot. And so our quarterly business reviews over the past 2 years turned into weekly reviews, I would say, with our clients of what do we need to say, how do we shift messaging. I feel like we've evened out, knock on wood, and it won't be as frequent, but you never know. And so this is a time for us to look at what's changed, what do people want. A little bit later, before we get into the creative, one thing that at the beginning of the year, everyone was very much about road trips, and that all the research, all the surveying at a national tourism level said more people are going to go on road trips. The average road trip length used to be 5 hours. It was up to 7 hours that people were willing to go on. Well, now we have gas prices that are increasing exponentially, right? So how do we react to that? And are road trips still going to play a big part in the travel experience or not? And so as a team, we would come together and say, maybe instead of looking at those road trips, we want to target the inbound travelers coming to Santa Barbara through those feeder markets that are flying into there and encourage them to do, instead of just staying in Santa Barbara, add on to their trip and come here because that's less of a drive perhaps. So those are things that we look at on that quarterly business review. And then as I mentioned there, we know that marketing for Yule Fest is very important, and then other supporting events. So as we get into this as well, I'd love to hear some of the other events in addition to Danish days, the Grape Stomp, the half marathon. I know there's a lot of events, but I'd love to hear some of those key marquee events that are of interest. I know there's a Veterans Day parade at the last City Council meeting that just got approved and supportive, and the Juneteenth event just passed. But, future events that we'd want to focus on. PR, you'll notice that we'll work on press releases. We are not a press release machine. We think that individualized pitching goes a lot farther, and when we can look at a journalist and say, what's unique to them? How can we tailor a story to them? Journalists and newsrooms have been decimated over the pandemic. A lot of people have left those jobs. A lot of the newspapers, the New York Times got rid of their travel section because they said no one's traveling. Why are we going to fund reporters to write a travel column? No one wants to advertise because no one's traveling. So there was a lot of consolidation that happened. So it's now, we think, more important than ever to use press releases that support, but really individualized pitching is our focus. ongoing fan trips, and then regional coordination. So talking to our partners in the Valley, what are they doing? How can we work with their resources and maybe do a cooperative media trip, a cooperative pitch? And what are they seeing and hearing? So we'll work with our regional DMOs and then visit California. They send out monthly requests for content and information, so we'll respond to that on behalf of Solvang every month. And then proactively reach out to them and say, hey, if you're bringing people into town, or going to be around, why don't you come here, right? Make sure that our presence is known. And then as we look at digital media in our ongoing partnership, content trips to us are very important, coming out here and getting owned content that we can share. Instagram just recently announced that people resharing content, they're going to downgrade in their algorithm. They used to upgrade it. They used to say, oh, if you're resharing content, we're going to highlight you. Now they're saying we don't like that anymore. If you reshare content that's already on Instagram, we're going to downgrade you, put up your own original content. So we'll need to come and get a lot of original content. We've also worked with many destinations to do surveys to our partners to ask them to submit content so that we have real-time content coming in. So I think there's a great opportunity for that here. We'll revive your Pinterest account. I think everyone's like, what? Who uses Pinterest? You have 5,000 followers on your Pinterest account, which is quite large. It hasn't been posted on in a few years, but the benefit of Pinterest is that it stays forever and it functions like a search engine. So if somebody goes to Pinterest and types in, dog-friendly vacations or how to create a Danish style, house or something that they might be interested in, we can pop up in that as still. So we feel it's a very important platform for us to put content on and support. We'll look at video content, Reels, TikTok. I know you all have heard a lot about TikTok, and everyone has heard about it. We have found that it works for certain destinations and it doesn't work. It really depends on who your travelers are to the destination, who's already engaging with your social media channels. So that's where that audit comes into handy is, okay, who's already engaging us? Will a TikTok make sense for this audience, or do we want to look at changing our audience and then perhaps a TikTok later will make sense? And then a final thing that we'll do over our ongoing partnership is assess the website viability ongoing. I think there's been discussion about the website, and I know it's transferred hand a couple times, so we'll really look at how our destination websites transitioning, what is the future of that with Web3, with all of the changes in digital media, and what can we do to develop our website so that it does align with the future, or what do we need to, if we need to start over. And I'm not saying we do, I'm just saying, we need to look at that and make sure that we're prepared. Okay, other key priorities in fall is we've talked about a brand refresh. And this is something I'm very curious to hear your feedback on. And we've watched some of your previous meetings where you've talked about, and we know that you have created a new logo. And it needs to be put out there. It needs to be used consistently across channels. So that's, of course, step one. But then we need to make sure that it works in all mediums. And what I mean by that is we've already played around with it and moved it to kind of a smaller size, and it gets grainy, it gets fuzzy. And so maybe we need to look at doing a more slimmed down version of the logo so that it can fit on all sizes, because some of the ads on your phone aren't that big, right? And so we want to make sure that your logo, your name, stands out more than anything else on the ad. Brand recognition is, of course, critical. And then building out a logo suite, and then a style guide so that any of our partners who are using the logo know how to use it correctly and our brand's represented properly. I was looking at the Visit Santa Ynez Valley magazine, and then the Solvang map and the Solvang ad, and the name Solvang and the logo is used in all different styles and different fonts and things like that. And I figured, if I was a consumer, that might be confusing to me. I wouldn't have immediate brand recognition. And that's what a consumer wants, and that's what we want, so that when they see that style font, when they see certain colors, when they see that logo, they think of Solvang. So we want to have the opportunity to discuss with you, how do we refresh and expand that logo? Tyson, is there anything that you want to add on top of that as our creative director?
No, I guess I'll test and see if everybody can hear me first.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to see all of you again. I wish I was in person, but as Connie had said, it's great to be a part of the team and be aboard as partners. And yeah, just to reiterate what Connie said, basically we want to create you a very strong visual foundation for which we can go and build assets out, whether it's website updates or social media campaigns or large scale paid media campaigns, and have them be all cohesive. And like she said, that brand cohesion it's you don't have to second guess it. You know it's Solvang, and you get your own share in the visual kind of space for your brand. So thanks, Connie.
Of course. And Solvang has such a unique look and feel. We're lucky that when we can develop out that brand, it's supported by the experience that a tourist and a traveler has. We work with many destinations where sometimes that's not the case. The brand really leads what the destination is. So we have the opportunity to really, I think, expand that brand and create awareness of what Solvang is. And then when they come here, they have that same experience, and that brand feeling resonates with them. Okay, I just went through phase 3, which looks like launch. I went through some of our ongoing priorities and initiatives, and then I just went through that brand refresh. Any questions, comments before we dive into the next part? Yes, Ms. Beard.
Page 21, you had bookings. You'll be able to tell the bookings from the hotels and how the website they book. So is that true? You're going to be able to tell the click-throughs from the website to the hotel?
So we'll be able to see if I, Connie Anderson, from Las Vegas, Nevada, came to the website. I stayed there for 2.5 minutes, and then I clicked through to the Lansby website. I could see that click through. I would not be able to see on the Lansby website if Connie Anderson booked a hotel.
So we don't have that ability to see the booking?
We could create a booking engine on the website. It is a possibility. It's a bit of work. And then we could ask our hotel partners to create a cookie and a tracking event on their website. And if we did that, we would see how long they stayed onto the site. But unfortunately, most privacy wouldn't allow us to see if actually somebody booked, because it's personally identifying information and credit card information. But if we had a cookie and an event tracking, we would be able to see, did they go to the booking page? Did they start that process? So I would hopefully our hotel partners, and that's something we can maybe talk about in that focus group, talk about how we can do that and if they would be okay with us adding that cookie onto their site. Does that answer your question, Ms.
That
Beard?
answers that question. Page 23, you talked about our events, and you talked about the grape stomp. Would you like to expand on that a little more? What you know about the grape stomp?
I haven't found too much information on it, but it was one that was on a list of events. So I'd love to hear more.
I don't think we own it anymore.
Okay.
Solvang, the visitors, what do you call it? The Visit SYV has done it previously.
Okay.
So my feeling, I guess my understanding was they had taken it over, but do you know something different now?
No, I don't. I haven't heard different than that. Is that something
I
that...
don't know, that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
because you brought it into your presentation.
Yeah, no, I just had heard that it's an important event. I had seen a lot of information about it, so that's something where we don't need to run it or do creative around it, but we could share it on social media and support it if it's an important event to the city to help bring people here. Then I think that's an event that we could support. But if it is just run by Visit SYV and it's not something that we need to support as much, that's good to hear. So I'd be curious your feedback on that. And
The stomp
sorry, I
started-
don't know
well,
the history.
To go back to, Stop started with what used to be our advertising arm at SCBB,
Okay, yes,
and then the SCB disappeared,
yes.
and then Shelby did it, and I don't think they did one in town, did they?
No, they did it in
No,
town,
so
yeah,
We,
on 219.
we wanna get that back into our town, I don't know what exactly we're thinking with that, but, so, we wanna get that back into our town.
Okay.
That's gonna be an event that's gonna be, come down the road, I think, I mean, it was a great event. They
Yeah.
wrote it off, they sort of took and ran with it when we lost our SCD. I see that coming back. If
Okay,
we can all agree on that at some point in time. That
Yeah.
would be our event coordinator, who's gonna be hopefully hired
hired.
down the road.
Knock on wood, fingers crossed.
And what is 3 Web 2?
Web3?
Web 3?
Yeah, Web3 is, you've probably heard about NFTs, cryptocurrency, and then open source. It's all a lot of technical language, but what it means is right now a lot of websites are very locked down, as in people can't really participate with them. They can't take information from them and use them elsewhere, which is good. But now we're moving into more of a collaborative web environment, and no one really knows what that looks like yet. But selling things like NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, what that means is I could take a picture of us in this meeting, and I could put it on the internet and be like, does someone want to buy this for $5? And then you can own the rights to that. And maybe somebody would, maybe somebody wouldn't. So people are creating different types of art. There was a website recently, and it was part of Web3, where it was a huge website, and everyone could draw in 1 pixel of the website. And so millions of people went onto this website, drew, picked a color, put in a picture of a single pixel, and then it created almost a digital web billboard of everyone's one individual contribution to this giant art piece. So things like that. Web3 is more of a participatory, I guess, web digital environment. It's still evolving. No one knows what that looks like. It's kind of the next phase of websites, so to speak. So it's something we keep our eye on and see what other destinations are doing, what websites like Facebook, Google, some of those big tech companies, what they're doing, and how we should future-proof to be prepared. But we don't want to just jump on a bandwagon. Oh, everyone else is doing this. Let's do this. We want to make sure it feels right to the brand and feels right to our audience members and our visitors who are coming here. So we keep an eye on it, but doesn't mean we're going to make changes immediately without really assessing if it makes sense for our target audience.
And the metaverse?
The metaverse, yeah,
Come
metaverse
into
is,
play in your programs?
I think we watch it, but it's not something that we've had to engage with yet. And I think it really depends on the destination, right? We've talked about we have done virtual reality for some of our destinations and done VR goggles and sent them out to journalists and said, okay, take a tour, pretend you're in Solvang.
It's a fan home, it's a fan
Yeah,
home.
and it's effective, but they all say, well, now I want to come. So it's like, why couldn't I have just emailed them and say, hey, you want to come and experience it? So there's benefits, and then it gets maybe people engaged who wouldn't have been engaged, but it doesn't replace the experience of coming here.
I just wondered if you guys were gonna try and incorporate it into something
Yeah,
these days.
that would be something we definitely have a conversation about before we do, because I think it would be really important to understand how you want the experience to be portrayed online. And the metaverse is a very participatory environment where you have conversations with people. So it would be, we would be acting as your representative, like what are our talking points? What do we say? There's a lot of things that go into it to make sure that it represents the brand very well. So it wouldn't be something we would take lightly. Yeah.
So, and then the launch party, what actual party you mean?
Yeah, it could be a lot of different things. It could be just getting together. Think of maybe a happy hour event, right, at a restaurant. It could be here where we actually unveil I don't know if with open meeting law, I don't know all the rules, but it could be here where we could unveil the campaign. We could show some of the videos. We could talk about who we're going to target. we could hand out some new marketing materials or swag, collateral items, maybe mugs, different things like that.
Sort of for
The community.
businesses to come in and
Yes.
see what you guys are providing.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's not something we have to do,
Right.
it's something that we have done, and if you think, no one wants that, okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Martino. Yes, Mr. Jensen?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you're hitting on all points here.
Oh,
which is
thank
really
you.
great. The thing is, SCVB was doing some work and wasn't telling it was a very quiet story.
Okay.
And when you're putting money from the city, or getting money from the
Yes.
city, people in the community, if they don't see much happening, and are they getting their money's worth? So
Mhm.
I think what we have to say to you is, and it sounds like everything's great here,
Thank you.
if you can be on point, but be loud about telling your points,
Okay.
that everyone hears, because I think it's important as we go
Great
through
point.
all these, you're exciting to us.
Thank
but
you.
can you be exciting to our community
Yeah.
who's paying all these taxes to have this available thing? And it consistently goes through, so they know that something's coming through for the amount of money
Yeah.
they're paying.
Absolutely, and that's where I think a launch party might help get them involved. And then we find, as you just mentioned, we may say something once, and then if we disappear and they never hear from us again, out of sight, out of mind. And they want to hear the results, right? They want to hear what happened. So maybe we can do an annual report. I know that sounds very corporate, but perhaps there's a fun way that we can provide an update. Maybe it's a local industry newsletter, just an email every once in a while that says, hey, here's what we've done. We were able to install perhaps cookies on websites, in spirit as you brought up, and we noticed that there over the past 3 months, there was an increase in click-throughs to your booking pages. Is something happening? Are you seeing that pick up as well? Different things like that. So I think there's opportunities to engage and continue the conversation with the local business partners who see the taxes and see, okay, what's happening now? So absolutely great point. Yes, Mr. Brents?
To kind of tag on to that for a moment, I think if you could help articulate what success looks like, so that we can kind of understand the journey and the criteria that you use to kind of help critically evaluate success.
Yeah.
So that we can say, oh, we're there, or, and then perhaps if you have some thoughts on who's the gold standard in this space? When you look at the broader, we work in our individual spaces all day, but, in the local community tourism space, when you look around, who do you say, hey, these guys are the gold standard, they really, all the pieces work, and it's positively impacting the community, and, I don't know if you have some thoughts on
Yeah.
on that.
Absolutely. So to your first question of what does success look like, for us, and I think what we've heard, and I would love your thoughts and opinion, is more midweek stay and shoulder season, like slow time stay. So what that looks like is looking at the TOT report and saying, is there more stays in that time, right? Are we generating more revenue at that time? I'm not sure if there's a way that hotels are reporting their occupancy at any given time, and if there's a way we can measure that, I think that would be phenomenal, in addition to just the tax income. So I think that's a grand scale, right? That's what we call our macro 10,000-foot goal. So making sure we're increasing those two metrics year over year, quarter over quarter, coming up with that right measuring time frame. And then on a day-to-day basis, what it looks like to us is an increase in website traffic. That's, as I mentioned earlier, your digital visitor guide. If no one's coming to your website, they're probably not going to come here. They need to see that, they need to be inspired, and we can guide them through that website to where we want them to go. So increasing website traffic, and then time on website. Somebody comes to your website for 10 seconds and leaves, not great, right? And then we'll look at your search engine rankings, and that's impacted by a lot of things. It's impacted, and so let me go back. What that means is, where do you rank if somebody goes to Google If somebody goes to Bing, which people do use Bing, not as much as Google, but if somebody goes to Safari on their iPhone, where do you rank for our key criteria that we want to rank for? Do we rank on the first page? Do we rank on the second? If we rank on the first, are we at the top or are we at the bottom? So we'll look at increasing that over time, and that's a more daily or monthly metric that we can report success on. All KPIs will be outlined in that marketing plan, and then you'll see it on that live dashboard. We'll kind of say, here were our goals, here's how we're doing as we progress towards those, and then we'll talk about them on a monthly basis. And then gold standard, that has changed a lot over the pandemic. So much has changed, and your CVB has now absorbed into this committee. Lots of other destinations went through that as well. And so there was a lot of upheaval in the industry. And I always, it's good to look at, I love Visit California. We obviously don't have the budget of Visit California. No one does. But what I think they do really well is that they understand the emotion their audience wants to feel, and they portray that across all of their channels very well. So if you are looking at their website, you feel an emotion. If you see their ad, you feel an emotion that really makes you want to act. You feel family love. I don't know if that's exactly an emotion, but you feel like that excitement. You feel a familial love that makes you want to act. So that's what they think do really well, and they communicate that every day across all of their channels. On a smaller scale, San Diego, which is still large, but they also do a really good job of talking about their experience without being repetitive. And so that's something that I think will be a challenge and opportunity for us with Solving, is how do we talk about the experience and the feeling you have here without just saying the same thing over and over again. So I think both through their advertising and their social media channels, they do a very good job at that as well. Is that helpful? Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay. All right, am I doing it right on time? Okay. Okay, so this section, we're going to dive a bit more into some of what we've already found and hopefully get some feedback from you on some of the ideas we've already had. So I don't know why in yours, hopefully the pink is showing, it's not showing up here, but this is one of those slides where I already talked about things have already changed a little bit, but we know that there's 3 trends in tourism right now that we have the opportunity to capitalize on. The first is longer stays and flexible working environments. Chani and I are an example of this right now, right? Like, we're working and we're here for vacation. We've been spending time here eating. Our dogs are back in the hotel, actually. So we've been doing this. We are that hybrid worker who's coming here to work as well as vacation and stay. Right now, people are expecting to spend 7 days on average on a vacation, which is longer than previous years. People have that pent-up demand to get out and want to. There is also spending is increasing as 2020 continues. This is always an interesting stat because we see inflation going up, so spending goes up with inflation. But I think as we look at the percentage of increase, we see that there is that pent-up demand to spend, to go on travel. It's not just inflation that's making up that increase. That being said, we know, and looking at that quarterly business review, at some point that inflation increase may turn and have a negative impact, right? People may say, oh, I want to pull back and not go on a vacation. I want to pull back and I'm looking now at budget-friendly vacations versus my once-in-a-lifetime trip. Beginning of 2020, everyone was doing their once-in-a-lifetime trip. They're like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend $1,000 a night on a hotel when maybe they never would have in the past. Now, as we go into 2022, I'm predicting and thinking it'll turn more about that budget travel, right? People will look at, how do I get the most out of my trip? How do I make sure the value that I'm getting? And maybe they're willing to spend more on a hotel, but how is that value being met when they're in that destination and experience? And then road trips are really important. We've played around with some of our destinations of giving away gas cards, to people on social media. Hey, if you come here, get entered to win a gas card at the visitor center. And so encouraging people to come and then helping cover some of that cost, because as I mentioned, we all see our prices at the pump are going up. And if that's going to become a deterrent, maybe we put some dollars there to support that, and then hopefully and maybe get some news and media coverage out of it too, because it's a unique promotion. All right. On this slide, we've talked about 3 geographic audiences. As I mentioned earlier, we know that it's important to look at what our partners are doing regionally and who they're targeting. And then we'll look at the audit through the website to understand the experiences or the people those partners are targeting. Are we also experiencing that? Is our geographic makeup of people visiting our website coming to this city itself the same as who others are targeting or different? We haven't been able to get in the back end yet, but what we've been able to find from our regional partners is they're focused on 2 key audiences, San Francisco Bay Area and Los Angeles. So those are areas where I think we can dive into, make sure those are the right audiences, and see if we want to expand or change those. And I'm open to your feedback as well. You see the visitors here every day. You ask them, hey, where are you from? And so it may be different than those 2. And then audience 3, we call them our Santa Barbara pre-planners, but those feeder markets into Santa Barbara Airport, right, are, from the Pacific Northwest, from Las Vegas, from other areas. Are they having an increased interest in coming to the destination? And can we see if there's a niche target audience that we want to target outside of San Francisco and Los Angeles that may want to fly in there and drive up for their trip here? And then potential target audience profiles. These are personas. You may have heard that, but we look at who are the type of people who would come here. And I don't just mean age. I don't mean double income, no kids. I don't mean household income. Yeah, those things are important, but what is their mentality and their mindset? A persona is not necessarily who you are, but who you want to be, right? So gals and group getaway. This is people who are maybe a bachelor or bachelorette party, right? Who want to come do wine tasting. Maybe they're just experiencing their 20-year high school reunion, and it's a group of the old cheerleader squad who wants to get together and come to Solvang for that trip, right? So those are important groups to target. They need different information online. They need to know, where can I book a table for 8? Can I rent a private room for a dinner? They're not a event, right? But they're a group in a way. They're not, your typical group sales or business traveler, but they are looking for an experience that works for a small group of people. And then we look at our culture-seeking couple. So this is a very diverse audience. They're looking to engage with others in the destination. They want to learn about the history. They would be people who want to go to the El Verhoy Museum, who want to do the trolley, and learn about what makes Solvang unique. They may have dogs, they may have other interests, and they may not just come for the food and the drink, and they may really want to know that culture, so we want to talk to them. And then we look at our multi-general memory makers, which is a tongue twister to say, all those M's back together. These are millennials, our parents now, and Gen X and our boomer generation are their grandparents. So they want to get together and come on a trip. They want to have those memories. They want to take lots of pictures. They're looking for iconic experiences. They're looking for things they can post on Instagram that make others go, wow, I want to go there too. And they want sentimental communications. They want time. They want quiet time. They want time to just sit and relax. So before we talk about creative approach, any feedback or thoughts? Again, these geographic and then personas were developed from initial research that we had through our partner marketing plans and then looking at some external secondary research, but curious your feedback on both geography and personas, what feels right, what doesn't feel right, what evolutions we might want to look at. Yes,
Orange
Mr.
County,
Orange.
Orange County is a great market,
Okay.
and there's, they suffer from affluenza.
Okay.
And so we actually we see a lot of traffic from Orange County that are
Okay.
good consumers.
Good consumers. Okay, great point. Thank you. Orange County. Thank
But I do
you.
like-
Mr. Brents.
I've always pushed, we need to go more north.
More
San
north.
Francisco, give us El Paso, and come down here. I see that as a big market to get tapped.
Okay.
yourself. So Los Angeles is there, and Orange
Now
County,
he's there.
as we've proven for years, that they are a
Come.
funnel for us.
Yeah. So San Francisco Bay Area, great.
You know, just Northern California.
Northern
is a
California, yeah.
big market.
Yeah.
From Santa Maria.
And there's all this, yeah, like East Bay, Martinez, Walnut Creek, right? There's San Leandro, lots of other communities to look at and target. Yeah.
The gasoline prices have really affected the Northern California market by coming here. I know Paso's really suffering because they really depend on that Silicon Valley market and gasoline prices, you know, because there's not a fly in or fly out, you know, Paso. So I just think we should concentrate right now with gasoline prices on the Los Angeles market. It's our closest market.
Yeah.
Newport Beach, Orange
County.
County, great. But I think, you know, Camarillo, Westlake, all of it, a lot of money there.
Okay.
And when I walk around town each day, that's all I hear people talk about, that's where they're from. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, they're coming.
They're coming.
Get to the people that aren't up there in north, that's always
Yeah,
been my,
no, I think what
always
we
been
need is
strong,
constantly
right.
search a new market.
Mhm.
You're looking at that, the San Joaquin Valley, Bakersfield,
Right,
Fresno,
right.
Yeah.
and all that. They go to Pismo Beach a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that if we can capture some of that Pismo Beach, central.
California.
Central California traffic or looking at our current audience and how do we make them more frequent repeat visitors? How do we change their travel behavior instead of a weekend getaway to a midweek getaway or things like that? So there's times when we look at dual strategies. How do we, it's not either or, it's and. How do we get a new target audience here? And then how do we change the behavior of our current travelers to support midweek and shoulder season travel or more frequent travel? Absolutely.
You know,
Cheryl has her hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Sure. Hi.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Hello. I'm sorry I'm not there. In terms of the Santa Barbara audience 3, you're not saying the actual residents of Santa Barbara, but really tapping into some of those direct flights that go into the airport.
Correct. Direct flights.
Okay.
Yes.
For Dallas and all that. Okay.
Dallas, I think Seattle, Las Vegas, Denver. Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
I think that with Southwest Airlines flying into Santa Barbara, that just started this last year.
To Vegas.
June.
From Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've taken it twice, and it's full all the time.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
When I've taken it,
Yeah.
I'll be taking it next week again.
Yeah.
And you can get anywhere.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara now, because they have so many great connections, so that's a plus for us.
It is a huge plus. I agree. I think that
Maybe we should be
access.
doing something with Southwest.
Yeah, we have worked with Southwest, and I know their marketing team, and we've done partnerships, cooperative advertising, and happy to look at engaging that team. There's times when in-flight magazines have gone away, but we can target through their newsletter and run promotions with Southwest to do that. So I think that, yeah, looking at those partners are really
How
important.
did you fly here?
I drove, but I have flown here. I am based in Las Vegas, so I've flown that flight twice, and then I've driven here once now. So
You're based in Las Vegas?
I'm based in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, just expand on the Southwest projects you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. So through the Regional Air Service Corporation, it's a Reno Tahoe supporting Air Service Corporation, and their goal is to help increase air service to the Reno Tahoe Airport. And so we've worked with JetBlue, Southwest, United Airlines, and American Airlines. And so through working with Southwest, we were able to do ads, social media, and then digital ads in a few of their Texas markets. And so we did a creative campaign that was like, fly from this Texas market to Reno Tahoe, and we put both of our logos on it and had click through directly to their website, where they developed a specific landing page that auto-populated from that Texas market to Reno Tahoe. And then they told us the click through, the booking on that page, and then we were able to optimize the ads. So that was it worked out very well. I would say, as you know, with airlines, there's a lot of things that go into keeping flights and keeping them happy. But from that experience, they said they were very happy. And in Reno Tahoe, they saw an increased visitation from a few of those key Texas markets. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Jensen?
COVID came about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And it closed Dogger Stadium, Disneyland.
Yes.
Universal Studios. Everybody was wanting to go somewhere.
Mhm.
And I think we made a great game, and everyone in this room probably can say that we had some great couple of years because of that.
Yeah.
But now everything's opening again. And
Yes.
stadium, yada, yada. So I would hope that we can still maintain that game, so people know that we're still a place to
Yeah.
occupy and come to, just because COVID's over.
Yes.
They can still come here, right? But it gave us a great opening
Mm-hmm.
for our future.
I would agree. And I would say that's where we talked a little bit about those repeat travelers, looking at people on the website and social media and saying who's been here before and how do we say, come back or reshare a memory. This is something that we've been doing because you're right, competition is through the roof. And many of the outdoor destinations or destinations like this that have lots of outdoor dining, they're safe destinations. This is you're right, the perfect example of when Disneyland's closed, whereas a safe destination where I can see something unique, sit outside and feel safe. And those people are going back to Disneyland. So how do we remind people of Solvang? And so on social media, we can do lots of competitions or requests. Share your memories here, right? Encourage people to remember their trip here, share that with their friends, and continue to increase bookings. But you're right, there is a lot of concern, I think, of many destinations who did so well in COVID. How do we maintain that momentum? And that's something that absolutely is really important for us to look at. Maybe we can work with your hotel partners to do a promotion, like I mentioned earlier. Do we give out a gas card? Can they email people who've stayed with them in the past and say, hey, here's a promotion to come back, or here's some videos that support the campaign, and encourage them to talk to their previous visitors to help with that as well. So I think that there's a lot of creative ways we can go about bringing those people back, and great point. Any other question? Okay, we talked about geography. Any thoughts on the audience profiles in general, some of these people we're looking to attract, or some of the personas, mindsets these individuals may have? I would say I think they're broad, and we are looking to target and talk to a lot of people, but curious from your perspective if these feel right, not right, ones we may want to evolve or add. Okay, thank you. Okay. Whew. All right, I've talked a lot, so I'm going to turn it over to Tyson to talk a little bit more about our creative approach. And I will introduce this by saying that we know you've developed those videos already and started with the how-to series.
I think Cheryl, does Cheryl
Oh,
still
sorry.
have her hand up? Or,
Cheryl's hand is up again.
I don't know if she's still
Oh,
got something to say.
Sorry, Cheryl.
Sorry, I don't, I'll put my hand down.
Okay.
We just don't want to ignore you, dear.
Thank you for watching out for me.
Of course. All right. And in our presentation, in our RFP process, We felt and we pitched to you, let's evolve those into an integrated campaign instead of just throwing them out and starting over. One, it's an efficient use of your dollars to not have to start over. And two, we liked the videos, and the ones, we haven't seen all of them. We're still waiting to receive all of those video files, but the ones we saw, we thought were very engaging. We felt, however, that they only reflected a small part of the integrated campaign that we needed. We still needed a bit of an overarching message and an overarching, okay, how to is important, but why is that important? What's that unique feeling and sentiment I talked a little bit earlier about with our multi-generational memory makers? What's that sentiment that's going to draw somebody in? And then, of course, through those, we have videos, but we need many other assets to create a campaign. We need to think about, when we look at our next insertion in the Visit Santa Ynez magazine, what does that look like? You know, how do we take this idea from print and put it onto paper? How does it look on our website in static form? Lots of the ads you see aren't video, they're static. Or HTML5 animated. So how do we take that experience, that idea, how do we create a sentiment and make sure it fits across all platforms? So we developed out some initial ideas of what those could be, and we wanted to get your feedback on that today. So feel free to, we'll kind of go through each, and then we'll get your feedback. This is what I just mentioned. Is we took those videos and then we wanted to build out that creative concept. All right, Tyson, do you want to chat through the first idea to expand the campaign? Oh,
I was muted. Okay,
no worries.
Here we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this is work that you've all seen. It was in our RFP pitch deck that we delivered to you, but we wanted to go back over it to, now that we've, started this process and get some of your feedback on it. But one idea we came up here was like Denmark only, right? And with this headline, we can do a lot of great things, right? First of all, we're suggesting and telling our audience right off the bat that Solvang, California is almost pretty much Denmark. And then we get to add our own wonderful twist, right? Only, this is a billboard, but only closer, right? So now we're talking to our drive audience saying, hey, you don't have to do the daunting trip in show vaccination and show, tests and all that stuff. But you can do this, within a quick drive. Like Denmark, only sweeter, hoppier, only Chardonnayer. So what this campaign enables us to do is build an overarching message that can slightly be tweaked to talk to our audiences and kind of meet them into some of their interests per se. The visuals I know are very small here on the screen, but you could probably see them in the deck. I think some of you were referencing the deck. They were created and designed to look very similar to how your videos were cut. There's a certain color filter on them. And then there's a kind of a Wes Anderson styling to them where things are really shot at a frontal kind of point of view. So that's like Denmark only, and we can hop into our Danish Discovery Pass. Thank you. This is another idea that we came up with, obviously using the word Danish in kind of its key title name here, but Discovery Pass as well. And right, what is that? It's an activation of a pass that can be used in many different ways here. One idea we had was for potential kind of influencers that we could work with in partnerships is creating branded boxes that once opened had different experiential pieces for them to kind of get a taste of what Solvang is before they visit or help them plan their visit. One thing we've done for some of our clients in tourism people was we've put together maps and activated them with QR codes that have videos play on your phone. It's really interactive, and we find that we can do a lot of tracking too with those QR codes. Connie's TikTok idea, a Danish minute, could be a great little TikTok series. Obviously, video shorts that could, focus and feature on, maybe a unique offering or a collection of unique offerings. So can really use that quick kind of teaser video styling with the Danish Discovery Pass idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then moving into our third idea, you guys have, somebody was just talking, and I'm sorry I can't see your name exactly, but we were just talking about theme parks, right? And you guys, this city is themed. Not many cities are so themed, right? And you don't have to fake it because it's very blatant and it's beautifully done. It's got a historical story, and there's just so much, there's such a richness to it. And so what does that do to your audience? When you step into Solvang, you can become, transformed very quickly just because of the architecture, the smell of the bakery, the things that make Solvang this small kind of Danish capital, California, that immersive experience. So we went a little bit further with the storybook Solvang idea, and you can see it takes on that theme of experiential, transformative feel. So you can see in the ad here, there's a gal and she's, posing in the classic shot there in front of the windmill. But then there's an illustration over the photo, and it's in a different style, and it's animated, and what that's supposed to do is just express, that magical quality that the city has to offer in its kind of place to visit. Also on the bottom right there, we play with a lot of different sorts of ads. We don't just buy Google display ads or YouTube video ads. One of our ads that we're really into doing and we find really great engagement are called social media experience ads. And they're ads based in the Facebook platform that basically you meet your audience there in Facebook, but they can enter into your ad, and the ad itself is like a miniature, it's like a miniature website all within Facebook, and you can have videos, you can have panoramic 360 views, you can have different calls to action. We can, we can get people to, dining or, booking or say we want them to just download the visitor's guide. We could do that within this ad. So it's a very immersive ad that we like to build. But again, you can see the visuals for this one. They really are themed. They look almost like a Hansel and Gretel type of old style illustrated book. And like we said, we've seen all the videos that you put together. We've had small glimpses of styling, and that will really, these will all help us kind of determine what your style guide is. So we have one cohesive style for Solvang as a brand, as we move forward and on. So those are the three ideas we had put together in the RFP. And I think we would love to hear any feedback or even feedback about your current campaign and how you feel. What did it communicate? Did it hit the mark? Where could it improve? Yeah, any kind of ideas here.
Thank you, Tyson. Any thoughts, feedback?
I love the like Denmark only. I think that's great. Like myself, I see that working.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Like Denmark only Clark.
Yeah, I love that it discusses and brings in the feeling of Denmark, but then we can add the unique value we have, only hop beer, only Chardonnay, or things like that show the unique value, unique offerings we have. We could have information about some of the events as well in there, and I think you're right, it helps to highlight some of our unique value proposition as well.
Danish Days is coming up in September, I know
Yeah,
that's
Danish
pretty
Days.
quick, but,
Right after, right before there.
yeah.
Our launch, yeah. When we could change that date, we're open to discussing that date, but yeah.
I'm just saying that.
And then it is the Danish capital of America.
America, it is the Danish,
No,
it is
I mean,
all of
That's
them.
the old version. Danish capital of California works too, but it is
Of
the old
America.
one is Danish capital of
Yeah,
America.
of course.
There'll be a lot of Vikings here too, so that should always be brought up. Vikings are
Great.
coming, the Vikings are coming.
The Vikings are good, great. Good.
TikTok minutes, I think those are great.
Yep.
Sorry.
And I haven't seen a lot. I was able to see one or two of the previous videos made. Scott sent them to me, but I don't know that anybody else has seen them. Those have been, haven't been out there at all.
Under lock and key, I guess.
Yeah,
Once we
more
get
or less. I mean, I did see a couple of them.
You have the combo to the same.
I don't have it yet. I have 2 videos. It's,
Yeah,
I've heard there's
right.
7. So yes, once we get them, we'll share them.
So,
If we're allowed to. I think we
haven't-
should
yeah,
be.
well, they should be. Once in- So that'll be interesting to see what the other
Videos,
4 or
yeah.
5 look like.
Yeah, great.
The Discovery Pass seems like
Everything's on point.
Oh,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Very creative.
I don't know, anything to add to that? Anything here?
No.
Anything to add?
No, I was looking for the date that the videos were done, I had it on here.
Yeah, I don't know when they were never put out though, were they?
No, but I had the camera crew and the name
Right,
and
right.
everything in their business cards, I
Right.
was looking for that.
So,
So on the page 32, when you show the
Absolutely.
billboard,
yeah.
Absolutely.
where would you like to do that, or what is your thought on the billboard of where you would want to put it? May I ask that question?
Absolutely. You can ask any questions.
Billboards are really hard to come by nowadays.
Yeah, so that is, a lot of this is execution ideas. Our paid media plan would develop that once we have the marketing plan. So I don't have this location right now. We would go through our paid media planning and marketing planning process and say, billboards do or don't fit. There are times when we find that they,
used to have one.
Yeah,
Two of them, one
okay.
north and one south,
Right.
but, and the south one got covered up, and it cost like, I
Yeah.
mean, we were paying $3,000 a month.
I was
for
gonna
that.
say, yeah, if you're paying 3,000, it's not really worth it.
A lot of people believe in town that they were worth it, but at that cost, and I'm sure that's cheap right now,
No, I
I'm sure you
think they're
can,
like 10,000.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Through the roof, yeah.
Get
I mean,
permits
it's-
to put 'em up.
Because our other
Yeah.
visitors center, our neighbor is the only one that has the
yeah.
permission and the rights to use them,
Oh,
and has
okay.
the licensing.
Oh,
The
and,
whole licensing, Kathy Freeland.
Yeah, but she's got the backside of it.
Yeah, she's
Of,
got
Vaughn,
both.
or, yeah, the backside of the
yeah.
grocery store.
And so we evaluate them very critically.
Okay.
Budget is
Okay,
very important to look at, and so we will want to make sure that as we look at what success looks like, how do all of our tactics build into that success. And there are times when billboards are great. You can put them in a great area where you are reaching the target audience, and you can do some billboards. They have smart billboards now where they can gather your signal that your cell phone emits and see if you cross that barrier of that billboard, how many times, and then we can track through. There's companies called Zartico, Placer AI, and then we can see if that GPS or that signal your cell phone transmits comes here. That's very sophisticated. Sometimes it's worth the dollars to implement a system like that. Sometimes it's just not.
You
So
have to say that
Our casino
ROI,
Yeah.
ROI has to work.
the ROI, yeah.
It has to work. If it doesn't, then
It's not worth, yeah, exactly. So it's something we always evaluate. We like to show the creative so we can see what it could look like, but this could be a website banner. Maybe we want to do a takeover on the Los Angeles Times, or maybe on the SF Chronicle website. And so instead of being a physical billboard, it could be a billboard on the San Francisco Chronicle website. So we can take this idea and do it digitally. Absolutely.
A friend of mine called me from San Francisco the other day, and who had the San Francisco Examiner of the Chronicle, and Paul's Pancake House was written up.
Aww.
I'm telling you, San Francisco's a market, we
And it
need,
was written up as the best pancakes in California. But a whole article on Paul's, so he called him and said, is that the place that's right down,
Yeah, right in
Street?
the-
I said, yeah, that's it.
Next to you.
Yeah, but did you know about that?
No?
No. Yeah.
So that's
how
one
did-
thing.
How did that happen?
Who knows, right? Maybe they Google,
Yeah. Ferguson. Stiletto Ferguson.
Yes,
whatever
Anna
it is.
Stiletto, yeah, she's still doing stuff.
So
That's a fan, too.
what we'll do on, I showed you the live dashboard, but we will pull, we can, we have a system that allows us to look at all news outlets, and we'll put in keywords like Solvang, California. We'll put in keywords of your key tourist attractions, and we can see where any of that's covered at any time. And so part of your monthly report will be a report of, these are all the media placements we got, and here's all the other times Solvang was talked about, both good and bad. From a PR perspective, it's important for us to know, where are we being covered in a positive manner, and where are we being covered maybe in a neutral or negative manner. So we'll look at all of those placements and provide that report to you. But those are things when sometimes randomly they came here as a kid, right, with their family, and now they've got an internship at the San Francisco Chronicle and wrote that story. You know, it really does happen like that sometimes. But yet, that's a great story for us, and what we'll do is share it on social media. And sometimes when those placements happen, we'll go email that reporter and say, hey, thank you so much for writing about Paula's Pancake House. Would you like to learn more about this and this and this in Solvang? Or could you add a link from that story back to our website, because that helps with those search engine rankings and our website going up. So once the placement's there, that's the beginning of us getting more traction around that. So, and then if you guys see things, let us know too. But that's great to hear that they featured that. Some of those things last a long time. I mean, I've gotten some placements in the San Francisco Chronicle for clients, and still today, they were years old. If you Google that client's name, the San Francisco Chronicle story comes up, because so many people go to that website that it has really high what's called domain rank authority. So Google puts stories that are on that website really high in search engine rankings. So they're really important to share those. Yeah. Any other thoughts or feedback on the creative? In general, things you liked or didn't like. We're open to negative feedback if you don't like anything. Truly, I want to make sure you know that anything that doesn't feel right, we'd rather know now than later.
Oh, we'll let you know.
Okay, good.
We have no problem with that.
It's important. Okay, we're almost done. What should you expect next? We've already gotten moving. As I mentioned, we've already taken over a couple of the social media channels, and we're posting on that. We're here this week getting even more social media content so we can continue developing that. We will begin our auditing process, and then our creative campaign development, and then our launch in September. We really find that it's important to hear your thoughts throughout this. So as I mentioned, we're going to develop a survey that goes out that asks some of those questions about what success looks like, where you want to see the city going, what's worked well for you, what hasn't, so that we have that information and you can share more privately as well if you'd like. So we'll do that, and then we want to look at, we have on here our second survey, but a questionnaire for the community. I also mentioned earlier in the meeting, we're happy to do that as a focus group or a group interview in person or online. So would love your feedback, and we'll ask to you in that committee survey who might be individuals that we should talk to, and what would that process look like, and what do you think would be best to engage the local business owners and local community.
I would think, here's a bridge right here with Tracy and the Chamber of Commerce. Is that some way to bridge something so that maybe people that are own businesses within the city can have an opportunity to have a say?
Yeah.
There's something there, something, I know there's something.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
That could work, so that they could give feedback, and then also tell a story that, hey, you're in town, you're ready to do business.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
point. I
think
agree.
A session with a bunch of the market or various vendors or stores in town
Yeah,
would be a good
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Great point. And I think working with the Chamber of Commerce is a great next step, because one thing we don't want to do is create new communication channels that already exist. It's better to work through trusted partners and help build upon the systems of communication that exist, in my opinion, and we've seen more success on building those than creating something new.
What about this San Ynez Valley also?
Yeah, I think at times doing one-on-ones with those, I think that Visit San Ynez Valley, we should probably do a separate meeting with than our local business partners would be my initial
Right.
thought on that, but I absolutely
Do you
think,
understand how the structures of Visit San Ynez Valley works?
yes, I would love to hear, I think I understand, but I would love to hear your
Yeah.
input on
There's a
it,
lot of
because I've
information about
asked
that, yeah.
and Googled, but I would love to hear that from you guys, from you as well, Mr. Martino.
One from each.
Okay, go ahead, give your version.
Anyway, San Ynez Valley is funded by the BID,
Yes,
which is the Business Group.
administration, yes, we've worked with
And it's
BIDs.
funded by all of the hotels from an overnight stay.
Okay,
What do they get, $3?
$3 a night.
$3 a night. So anyway, Visit San Ynez Valley represents the entire valley.
Valley.
About 65% of their budget comes from the city of Solvang, because we have the most hotel rooms.
okay,
Second is Buellton, which is right next to us.
yes,
And then there's San Ynez.
Yep.
And there's Los Olivos and Los Alamos. I
Don't
guess they-
forget Little Ballard.
Pardon?
little,
Ballard,
Van Bell.
yeah,
yes.
Little
I
Ballard.
So
j-
those are all the little entities that they have. But we're the biggest contributor to their, and you collect, the city collects the BID for every month, and then they issue them a check
Okay,
every month.
and then do you meet with Visit Santa Ynez Valley on a regular
No.
basis, or is,
They
okay,
have their own board,
they have their own board, and do they
do
communicate?
their own thing.
They do, okay, I didn't know, is there any communication or reporting back to?
There needs to be.
There needs to be, okay, there's an opportunity.
An opportunity.
There needs to, there's a great opportunity, but they do a good job within their communication to their board. It's just, we are a separate entity.
Right.
And they market the valley and not Solvang Pacific. And I think our goal is to have Solvang marketed, since a lot of their money funnels that direction.
Yeah. As I mentioned, I looked through the magazine and I did a preliminary scan of how many pages are about Solvang, and I kind of just did percentage. And anyway, it was a very interesting, I don't think it was 60 or 65%.
No,
That's,
no.
okay. I'll just,
It might be 60.
it might be,
I think it's only 50 to 55%, I don't think it's 60, I think it's closer to 50.
It's a chunk of change.
But it's still, you are still the big fish in there.
It's a chunk of change.
It's a chunk of change.
change.
So anyways, it's a.
So
it's been
there's an
sort of
opportunity.
competing facilities here.
And we
Okay.
need to work together, because we don't want to overlap.
Yeah.
We do need each
Yeah,
other.
that's-
We do.
The
That's
biggest thing, don't overlap.
I was going to say, I think the biggest opportunity is, where are you going? What are you if they are going to launch I don't know how much money, multi-million-dollar campaign in San Francisco, do we need to as well? Are we wasting our efforts by doing too much? Are they doing a lot of outreach in Orange County? And there's a way we can use just Google search or some more cost-effective techniques there, so that somebody goes, oh, Visit San Ynez Valley. Oh, I saw that picture. Well, that's cool. And then they are targeted with a Solvang-specific ad. Great. And then we focus on our new market. I think absolutely the partnership and support. And it's us showing them, hey, your goal is to get more people here. They want their $3 a night. So if you're going to focus on this market, our efforts are going to be that conversion to support. It's not a competition. It's the conversion. And so share with us what you're doing. How can we encourage people to convert? And then you get you have hopefully more. Yes.
Yeah. And I
Thank
think to respect Shelby, I mean, his goal is to do all 6 valleys, visit SYDs. And at the same time, I'm gonna say it's only about 50% of the money. They have one hotel, they have some other, in San Ynez, one in. We are what brings people to the San Ynez Valley.
Valley.
If you took Solvang out, we're just another drinking valley.
Yeah.
I mean, we honestly
Or a
are.
casino.
In the casino.
And a great casino that we all love,
Yeah.
very much so. But we are what makes the San Ynez Valley so unique.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just said, when you flip through the pictures, that is that's what's missing. And I understand, they wanna promote all these towns, so I
Mhm.
think to their credit, they're doing what they wanna do.
Absolutely.
How do we work with you to make sure what you just said, that's our goal, is so money's not duplicated at
Yeah.
all. But how do you make that little conversion on that picture to bring us to here and visit, Solvang USA? That's the biggest thing. And I
Absolutely.
think that's everybody's. And what is the click-through rate when you call overnight stays?
Yeah.
And that's always been in this room from everybody I've talked to, heads in beds.
Beds,
And
yeah.
everybody is heads in beds. That's the term.
Well,
Heads and
that's
beds is
true,
the term. We do lots of heads and beds and butts and seats. We
If we fill every
Lots of
hotel
seats, I
room,
like that.
do butts and seats are that's for air service, but yes, butts. We love heads and beds, butts and seats.
if we fill every room in the whole valley, it still won't do what
we can do, yes.
'Cause that's one of the, and then a little history. 30 years ago, the whole valley was Solvang-centric.
Mhm.
Everybody focused
It's
on
not.
Solvang. You live wherever you live. And it's come to now Solvang's, the casino, Los Olivos.
Yeah.
Builton's working on tourism too,
Yeah.
they're all now, so, and it hasn't become, it's not no longer Solvang-centric, so we
Yeah.
have had to do our thing.
But
Mhm.
Share the
all
money.
of the little communities in the valley, we really are the most unique, and we are a walking village.
Yes, absolutely.
You can park your car and you can never have to drive
Yeah.
your car again without paying.
That yeah, I was gonna say that is the first thing I noticed when I
And
drove.
no charge for
Came here,
parking.
no charge, and public restrooms, amazing. It's yes, it
Los
is.
Olivos doesn't have any public restrooms.
Like Denmark, only many public restrooms and free parking. But those are very important
But I think
attributes.
two of the great marketing tools that we really don't use is, number one, the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, to me, we always say it's probably the most unique mission and the most full-service mission
Mhm.
of any of the missions, the
Yeah.
23 missions in California.
Mhm.
The other thing is the new Chumash Museum.
Okay.
And I know you're from a gaming area.
Yeah.
But Chumash just spent a ton of money, David, wasn't it close to 40 million on that museum? And rumor is that they spent almost 40 million on that museum.
That's
It's their
incredibly.
historical museum.
Yeah. Okay.
And the artifacts there are
Unbelievable.
unbelievable, they've been collecting them for 20 years. That's a
I'll have
great
to go
market,
there,
so that's
yeah.
gonna bring a lot of people here.
A lot of
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So they bring, everybody brings, and then
Something to the table.
and then they sort of go at different places. So we try to share everybody, but it's,
Well,
you want them here first.
I always say a visitor doesn't see city lines. Like they don't know
Right.
what is a city line. They don't know when they've crossed in or when they've crossed out. They want an experience. And so how do we create that, and how do we bring in, as you mentioned, and share all of those attributes? They don't care if it's Visit Santa Ynez Valley. They don't care if it's Los Olivos. They don't know the difference. Really, they want to know, and you're right. Solvang is the main part, and we want to elevate that, so they think, oh, okay, Solvang, and then, oh, I'll go here and I'll go here, and they might not even know they've left Solvang, and that's okay. They don't see city lines, right? They don't know the difference.
But you're exactly right. We want butts in every seat, in every restaurant, every park bench, every shoe store. We want every
Yeah.
tasting room that there is. We want somebody sitting in those seats. We never want a seat empty.
Indeed.
So I think that's what we're looking for you to have from us.
Make happen.
To make happen. And I like that. We don't want heads in beds. We'll let Shelby take care of that. We want that from you.
Butts and seats,
And
yeah.
I think that's the exciting part.
Feet and shoes.
Yeah, and I like that.
We want Danishes and mouths. We want just kidding. We want faces and chocolate.
We want every room to be done, yes.
And I think that's a great point, and we have to look at that. And we'll audit their work too. And auditing is not to point out flaws; it's to find where success is, and audit if they're filling our heads and beds enough, and
Right.
we want to expand people's experience to be that butts and seats, and encourage them to spend more money here, encourage them not to just go to 3 tasting rooms, but 4, 5, or do this in addition to all of those things. Absolutely, I agree. I think that it's not just heads and beds; it's the experience.
I mean, they did a nice campaign but it was different different. A wine experience, and you stay overnight, you get these wine experiences. But our partners up north in Santa Maria did a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you stayed those nights, and you stayed the third night, you get $100 gift card to be in the Santa Maria Valley, and it was only for the Santa Maria Valley with the way it was QR coded in the swipe. And they hand it to you on the third night when you checked out. 2 nights free, your third night, and here's a $100 gift card to spend. They only spent $50,000, and they had every room filled. They were shocked.
Yeah.
For the time that campaign ran.
I wonder what platform they used. We've worked with one called Gifty, which is EE at the end, not a Y, but we could look at doing a partnership program where that was in Lake Tahoe, but a similar, it was through COVID. It was actually to help support small businesses and do gift cards, but it only worked in that region. So I think we could absolutely look at a promotion like that too.
And I only know that because I talked to them on the phone once a month. We did during COVID, it was weekly.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we were all talking this campaign, and we tried to get it to come this way.
Right.
And that is our thing, is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I don't think we have enough money to give to you for that. I think our job is to get people here in every seat, in every restaurant, everything.
And then hopefully next year we can get enough money, maybe where we can do a campaign like that, or maybe we don't need 50,000, maybe we do a small test market, and maybe it's only the first 5,000 people, and we make it not just everybody, but we develop some urgency around it in a new market like San Francisco. Hey, first 5,000 people from San Francisco who do this, get this. Or we could partner with the San Francisco Chronicle or a different outlet to do a cooperative campaign and share some costs. So I think I always like to say all ships rise with the rising tide. Let's find some partners who want to go in on this with us and develop a good campaign, not just on our own, but with some partners that make sense. So
A lot of great synergies inside the community and outside the community, and that would really be helpful if we could all work together as a team. It would really help bring together.
Absolutely.
Maybe you could be the bridge to make that happen.
We will try our best. Great point. Thank you, Mr. Jensen.
So, let's see here. I guess our discussion is over. Call that, right?
Yeah, unless there's any other questions, comments.
So then we have committee member comments. I think we all made them, or do you have any more comments?
Well, the only thing I'd like to say, if you're going to be doing a survey, I think you should check out the visitor center there in Solheim.
Yes.
And just maybe get some numbers from them, how many people they have a day, and maybe they can help you with the survey.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that could be a great time where we do an intercept survey, which is asking visitors questions, and maybe we do that. I would love to do that maybe next spring when our campaign's been live for about 6 months, and we can do we can show them a picture maybe of the like Denmark only picture and say, hey, do you recognize this? Yes or no, and then we can see, do people recognize the marketing, or we can ask where they're coming from, different things to help give some qualitative or quantitative on-the-ground data. So great point. And now as well, getting information from them.
The only other thing is Jules Fest.
Yes.
It's really right around the corner.
It is.
That's our problem. We gotta figure out how to put one on. They'll advertise it for it, but we gotta figure out how to put one on. That's a whole other problem. It's not there yet.
Yeah. We did go to that website. I was like, oh, something else. I know it hasn't been on, so yeah, absolutely. And that has its own Instagram page, so there's, I think as you go through that planning process, I'm not sure if that all happens in this committee or if there's a separate.
It's all new this year. We had, the other people did it, IDK actually did Beulah Fest. Now we have nobody to do that.
Yes.
Because you guys don't do that, so we have to work on getting something together on that very quickly so they can put it out there for us. What? Yeah, I mean, we need, all right, we have.
Well, I think we're done then. I have discussion, but it's not from you.
Okay,
I have
so-
something else when we're ready.
Well, we're at committee discussion, go ahead.
Okay, I think this is for Zena, and I'm trying to make sure she's still on. Can't see
Yes,
that
she
one.
is.
Okay, at the city council meeting, it was talked about the budgets, and the budget for the visitor center was $150, and when I went through it, it was $130, and then the marketing budget was $600. So can you tell us like, re-give us our numbers again, that, I know there was some discussion there that night, that the numbers were slightly off, and I know we put out for a marketing person at over 100,000 to help you out and to help this committee out, and the Yule Fest, the Danish, so can you help us with those numbers? That's all, I'd just like some clarity, because there was a $24,000 difference in the visitor center. There was just I'd just like more clarity in the numbers now, that's all.
Yeah, so the total dollar amount was agreed to be adjusted during the council meeting to a total of, let's see, 400, 550 basically for both items, or for all of the items marketing. There was approximately 150 for the visitor center because it's a budget number, so there's kind of a little bit of contingency left. The contract amount is at, I believe, yes, 130 or something like that. There's 300 for marketing, which is the Abbey agency allocation, and then there's 100,000 for Yule Fest and some additional events, however we end up managing that. So hopefully that answers your question.
I think I'm just understanding a better breakdown, that what are we using the funding for, the additional 20 on the visitor center? Because are we gonna recoup to remodel? That was in the March and February that we had given them 20,000 to remodel IDK. Is that going somewhere else now? That money that we were gonna use to remodel the visitor center, you gave us that project that we voted on in February?
Yeah, so the
When I went
visitor
through my
center
notes.
remodel, since we wrapped up the contract with IDK or are still wrapping up some of the physical assets, the $20,000 is in the past. Not all of it was spent. There was some furniture purchased, which we'll be looking at using as we move forward with remodel of the visitor center building. We have looked into the building itself, and there's some repair that needs to be done, which really should be managed by the city as part of the city facilities. So going forward, we'll be looking at what we need to get done to get some of the water damage in that building down before actually doing the painting. So that project will be managed by the city, and as we need and as we establish what kind of budget is needed for that will be going to city council for approval.
So that money will come out of that 20,000 then for the remodel, the furniture that's been purchased to help make that visitor center more appropriate? That the pictures that were shown to us here?
Yeah, so there's some furniture that's purchased that the city is in process of getting physical possession of.
Okay. And then I guess the other one was the videos that I questioned when they were out here doing video. Do we actually physically have those? Or are we in the process of getting those videos?
Yeah,
Or those
I at this point have physical possession of those videos, so I will be working with that agency who only onboarded obviously on July 1st. We've been in good contact and making good progress, but with the holidays, we are still in progress of transferring some of those assets into their possession now.
Okay, thank you. That was all I asked. I just wanted more clarity because there was money that was talked about in this room that we were asked to look at. And some of those items had not been done that we had said as a committee we wanted done.
Anybody else have comments? Staff, any comments from you? Nothing, all right. Unless we have anything else, I'll adjourn the meeting at 5:20.